Court is back in session. What we've decided to do is, rather than asking a bunch of questions to the following witnesses, we've decided to just ask one question, then have each witness answer one at a time. So the one question I'm asking is this: what behaviors and actions have you observed from the defendants? I ask that each witness in turn identify themselves, then provide a narrative in reference to the stated question. With that being said, let's begin.
Hello, my name is Frankie Foxx. I've been a resident of the woods for 7 years. In other words, I've lived in the woods my entire life. I've seen a lot of people come and go, but I've never seen anything like the defendants. I know they say that animals are a lower form of life and less intelligent than human beings. I used to actually think that. However, after observing the defendants, I am truly insulted that we are considered less intelligent and a lower form of life. It's harder to get any lower in the food chain than what I've observed from the defendants. In fact, I'm downright insulted. You know that old saying about foxes saying we are cunning and sneaky? Well, from what I've seen with these people, they could teach us foxes a thing or two about being cunning and sneaky. We may be sneaky, but we're not liars. And yes, you could say that when we raid garbage cans or campsites that we are taking advantage of people, but you do realize that animals are amoral. We don't have a conscience. We operate on instinct. I'm beginning to think that humans also operate on instinct. Except in their case, it's not instinct but instinct. These people rarely ever bathe, and the stench coming from their campsite is offensive even to us animals. The way their site always looks, you'd swear it was under constant attack from scavengers, with garbage strewn all over the place and just looking like a garbage dump. But the one nice thing is, we could go raid their campsite and they'd never even notice. Normal humans can always tell when an animal has entered their space and made a mess. But honestly, I'm thinking that if an animal raids their space, it would only improve on its condition. I've never seen a nastier people. I won't even go near their campsite for fear of becoming contaminated and getting some type of disease. I want to live to see 8, so I steer clear of their property. It's a complete disgrace, even to the worst scavengers among us animals.
Hi, my name is Teddy. Yeah, I know. Teddy bear. I hear it all the time. My parents thought it would be cute to name me that. Me, not so much. Anyway, you know that bears do things in the woods. Of all the animals they could have chosen to come up with a witty saying, they had to choose bears. Like bears are the only animals who poop in the woods. Whatever. Anyway, there's not supposed to be any bears in their area, but I'm good at hiding. I just put on clothes and a hoodie and I'm able to mingle with the humans and go unnoticed. But I refuse to mingle with the defendants. I actually thought about eating them at one time when I was starving, but when I got close to their camp, I changed my mind. If they taste like they smell, I doubt I could choke them down. The one time I was so hungry that I figured I'd chance it, I went there one night, but they were nowhere around. I waited for a couple more hours, but they were a complete no-show. I then realized that they don't stay there at night. They actually live at a residence close to the property. I also noticed them making videos where they convinced people they were actually building a homestead on the property. Yeah, right. They don't seem like honest people to me. They tend to say one thing and do another. Also, if I raised cubs like they raised their child, I'm sure Bear Protective Services would snatch away the cubs. They let their child do things a responsible mama bear would never do. Mama bears actually teach their cubs how to operate in the world, and she would never put her cubs in danger. Neither of these parents seems intelligent enough or motivated enough to raise a child properly. They expose the child to things that could cause disease and put him in dangerous situations that I think will backfire on them one day. They are much different than all of the other humans I've observed. They really seem to lack common sense, and unlike bears, who are taught to fend for themselves, these people seem to rely on everybody else for all their needs. They seem to lack any self-respect or self-awareness. People like this are simply loathsome to bears.
Hello, I'm Alicia the goldfish. Yes, I realize there's no alliteration to my name, but that's your problem, not mine. I'm not in a very good mood right now anyway. Somebody took me out of my pristine home and stuck me in what some say is a pond. I beg to differ. It's more like a muddy, mosquito-infested sewer hole. At least that's what it smells like. Needless to say, I'm not a happy camper. I also have no privacy. The defendants have a child who gets in this muddy mess and tries to play with me. Luckily, I'm very quick and am able to avoid capture. To be honest, however, I'd be totally willing to be captured by a responsible human being who would take me back home to the clean living conditions I had before. At present, there is nothing clean about this place. I swear these people were either raised at a junkyard, or they've entered a contest for the most gross and disgusting campground. I really am in fear for my life. I can hardly breathe in this dirty, nasty water. I'm sure I'll end up in the fish hospital before too long. Living in the water, I'm unable to observe the entire campground, but from what I can see of it, it's someone's worst nightmare. Also, my vocabulary was somewhat limited before I was placed here. My vocabulary has greatly increased since I've been here, and I've learned words like and I don't think I'll use them, though, because judging from their demeanor, I'm afraid they may be curse words, or they are some type of precursor words with which you preface each sentence. Obviously, the child will grow up thinking they are part of normal speech. I can just see the child going to a restaurant and wanting to order a hamburger, but I'm sure a hamburger would be preferable to the slop they seem to feed him. I feel sorry for the child. They seem to think he's an adult even though he's far from it. I don't think I've ever seen parents with less common sense. I'm just hoping someone comes and rescues me before I suffocate in this nasty water.
Hello! I am Bathsheba. I'm not too thrilled with my name. First of all, I'd prefer to have a name without the word bath in it. Secondly, I don't appreciate being named after a woman who cheated on her husband. But I guess the silver lining is that at least she cheated with a king and not some lowlife like the guy in this campground. I mean, aren't dogs the ones who are supposed to pee on trees? Of course, being female, I don't lift my leg to pee on trees, but I see the boy dogs doing it all the time. I would be willing to bet this guy also pees on his car tires and any fire hydrant he comes across. I've even seen the female pee on trees, although she has to stand on her hands to do it. She's quite acrobatic, I must say. They have a little boy who pees on trees as well. I think they are jealous of us dogs for them to mimic us like that. I do have to say, though, that most dogs I know have better table manners. I just about puked one time watching the guy eat. Also, they must think their child is also a dog because all he seems to get are table scraps. Granted, I sometimes get table scraps, but I also get my regular food as well, so I'm thinking I'm much better off than the kid. Also, their place is such a garbage dump, I would bet I could go in there, take a crap, and they'd never notice. They'd probably just think it was part of the furniture. Also, the kid is like 6 years old and can't even talk. But I probably wouldn't be able to talk either considering the intelligence level of the parents. The only things the child is being taught are how to be an asshole, how to drink beer, and cuss. That doesn't make for much of an education. I know there have been some morons who made really stupid comments about the parents being able to homeschool through online resources, etc. Right. Do you really think, with their view toward education and neither of them even graduating high school, that they'd make the effort to even use an online school? If you believe that, you're fooling yourself. It's actually quite laughable to even consider thinking they'd make that much effort. The only things the mother seems willing to do are laugh like a fool and smoke pot. She has more craters in her face than the man in the moon, and we all know how those got there. Anyway, I could go on and on about what pathetic losers they are, but just watching their videos, I'd say that's pretty self-evident.
We've now heard from all of the witnesses. I will now present the closing arguments. Considering the things we've learned, I will have to submit that this whole scenario is one big scam. It is simply an act they are performing in order to scam people out of money. They are scam artists, con artists, and the reason they keep throwing their fits and making complaints is because they are afraid people will start seeing the truth and they'll be exposed for what they really are. While there is nothing wrong with making a living online, it is definitely wrong to do so under false pretenses and with deceitful measures and motives. It is also evident that they do not appreciate the things that are done for them, and they have become entitled and now expect people to support them. It is disgusting, immoral, and just plain idiotic to keep sending people things who refuse to work, refuse to obey the laws of the land, and only use the law when it benefits them while disobeying all the rest. They are hypocrites, lawbreakers, swindlers, and do not deserve to be given anything. The people supporting them are no better and are guilty of promoting lawlessness and immorality. They will reap what they sow, as will these low-life, pathetic excuses for human beings.